This is a message for the children of light, specifically for the people that don't know what the children of light is, who they are, and whether or not they belong to this category. I set out on this path 40 years ago, and back then I really wished that there was somebody to guide me, to help me understand, but there wasn't. Along the way, in the last few decades, I've learned a thing or two that I'd like to share with those of you who are trying to live on this disheveled, crazy world we live in, especially during this very hectic period. And the aim of this series is going to be basically to catch you up, to help you understand why things are the way they are, how they got to this level, what can possibly act as a solution, and what rests in the future for humanity. These are turbulent times, a lot of people suffering, a lot of people sad, depressed. I especially want to address those people who are at their wits' end with this world and contemplating awful things because you're not able to make sense of things and think that it's just a big mess. It's not. And there's a way for you to personally experience that. And that's what my role here is. I don't look for followers. I'm not asking for money, and there's nothing to join. So rest assured, I'm just here to help. Give me a few minutes and see if what I tell you makes sense. If you are in the invisible brotherhood, if you are a child of light, by now you'll have understood that the religions of this world are unsatisfactory. You're probably looking for more. You're looking for expansion, and your desires are not being met by these outdated religions of our world. They can't help you, and you're looking for something more. If you're in that domain, you are probably in our spiritual family. And if you need guidance, I'm here to help you. I'm going to go through what we call a message to 21st century humanity. This is what humanity needs to learn at this point in their evolutionary growth, in this lost, confused, and backward planet. You must understand that every human being is personally created by God. You were personally created by a divine, omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient force. Your energy. All life is energy. Even matter is energy. And there is a way to get this understanding through science. If you're brave enough to follow the scientific path without failing, and allowing your fears, misconceptions, prejudices, weaknesses to sideswipe you and get you off the path. Truth cannot be taught. Unfortunately, it's something that just cannot be read and understood. Truth can only be experienced. You must understand that you are a part of a whole. We already know, science already knows, that all life is energy. Your energy, every cell, every molecule, every atom of your body and everybody else's is energy. And it's all just one energy. These are scientific facts. We couldn't talk about these things 1,000, 10,000 years ago when those old religions were born because there was no science. But now we know. You are one part of a gigantic energy organism. And how this whole treats you, interacts with you, depends on whether or not you understand that you're part of that whole and that you have an intrinsic relationship, organic relationship with that whole. So you must understand that you were personally created. Your personality was personally created by the creator of everything. You're unique. You have eternal potential. You have gifts that Many of you don't even understand that you have. You're totally in the dark. And when you don't know you possess something special, then obviously you're not going to be able to benefit from it because you're not going to use it because you don't believe it exists. So, first thing to understand is that you're part of a whole. This is one of the most fundamental and important things to understand, whether you want to understand it scientifically, as in energy. Everything is energy. Energy never dies, just changes. And whatever energy you exert has to come back to you. Those are the laws of science, math, and physics. So if you must see it that way, that's totally fine, because that is true. Everything around us is energy. Everything is science. Every atom in your body has components that are alive, moving, pieces of energy. Therefore, because you're part of one organic whole, you're all equal. And this whole, this God, this creator, sees you equally because you are a part of that whole. No part is more special or less special than any other. What we call God, or the creator, is the source of all truth, beauty, and goodness. It's perfect, eternal, divine, beautiful, always ready to help. Cannot blame him for anything once you understand him. Once you understand that you're part of this whole, you'll see yourself as a cell within one giant body. And whether your cell life happens to be in one organ of this body or another, it really doesn't matter. What you have to remember is that you're part of a whole, and therefore your relationship to that whole depends on how you treat that whole as a part. A part that harms the whole can't be tolerated. A part that helps the whole will be nurtured and multiplied. So, you must serve your brothers and sisters regardless of race, nationality, religion, just the same way that a healthy serves for the benefit of the entire body. All the problems associated with the religions of this world is because they are egocentric, self-centered, and disconnected from reality. What do I mean by disconnected from reality? I mean that they don't understand that they're part of a whole. They see themselves as separate from the whole. And so their actions are geared towards the benefit of a race, a nation, or a particular religion. And because their attitude and their expression of their energy is limited to a part, to one organ, and not the whole body, the body itself has to see them as a detriment. And they are disconnected from reality because they are disconnected from the reality that they are part of a whole, that they're part of one body, and they cannot harm another part of that body thinking that they're doing themselves a favor. This is a disconnection from reality, a total inability to understand your relationship to the whole. And therefore, when your understanding is lacking, you're going to make mistakes because you're going to say, hey, I'm really patriotic. I'm just going to work for this country, for the benefit of this race. Only the people that belong to this religion, which is what the majority of this world does. And that is a disconnection from reality. And therefore, their actions are going to be harmful to the other parts of the body that they don't recognize as a part of themselves. Therefore, their actions must be detrimental to the overall body. And therefore, the mind of that body, which is concerned solely with the welfare of the entire body, must see you, your group, your country, your race, your religion, as something that is not beneficial to the health of that whole body. So your attitude has to change. Your expression has to be selfless and not prejudiced. It's just a positive energy that you exude to all of creation, not one race, one country, one religion, to all of creation, without discrimination, even if you don't understand. Even if you're facing somebody that's very different from you, has a very different background, maybe you were born in a home where prejudice was instilled in your being, and you need to get out of that because that is a disconnection from reality. Your expression, your attitude has to be different. Your attitude has to be pure positivity to everything and everyone without discrimination. Now, most of these religions in the world, they're called evolutionary religions because they have evolved with humanity over time and they don't require anybody to think. Your attitude can't be like that if you're going to survive the experiences that are sure to come for every human being in this world. Your understanding of the Creator has to evolve. This notion of an angry God up there in the clouds, stomping around, looking to kill, destroy, throw people in hell, this is from the Stone Age. You know, we've progressed technologically, but mentally and spiritually, we're still in the Stone Age. And you should be able to recognize that if you're a child of light, that you don't see things the same way, and the way that things are seen by the majority of people seem foreign to you, seem illogical, irrational, and ugly. And you have to want to evolve beyond that point. And it is all about evolution. You must become better tomorrow, better than what you are today. You don't need to become perfect. Nobody expects you to suddenly become a perfect person. But it is expected that you evolve and that you become better than you were yesterday. That's all. Even if just wanting to is enough. Because the wanting to will lead to actual growth. God is not angry, never has been angry, and he wants nothing but the best for you. He's not sitting up there wanting to destroy his creation. If it's an eternal, omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent being that is perfect, then how can anything that this being creates be imperfect? It can only be imperfect in time, but it must have the potential to become perfect because it comes from perfection. You are part of that whole. You are a son or daughter of that Creator, literally created by him. He literally, for a moment in time, thought you up. But your character, the character of your personality, and whether or not it evolves depends completely on you. You have free will. It's completely up to you. There is never any pressure. But there is something hardwired within your being that wants to be perfect. And if you don't understand how to feed that, if you don't know how to nurture that, if you don't know how to do that to actually evolve and become one step closer to perfect, whether it's a billion years or a zillion years, doesn't matter. You're getting one step closer, and that's all that this creator wants. He wants nothing but the best for us. He's always available to you because of his presence and guidance from within your mind. Think of it this way. There is a wireless device in your being that is able to access and communicate with the creator of everything. It's your right because you are a part of that whole. You are created by that whole. He is aware of you very much, lives within your mind, and is always accessible. Think of it as that wireless device. If you don't know you have a wireless device in you that can communicate to something outside of you, then how could you use it? But you have it. And all you have to do is want to use it. And it's there for you. And you will experience it and you will understand. The God of love has no hatred, anger, or scorn. Those of you who are the children of light already recognize this. He's never cursed humanity like Christianity says. He's never required a blood sacrifice. These are the ideas of people living in the Stone Age. Certainly does not lead a blood sacrifice to forgive. Why do we insist on carrying forward these barbaric, primitive ideas just because it's in your tradition, it's in your outdated religion, it's something that your dad and mom believe, it's something that your society believes, what your church believes? Why do you have to be constrained to that? You do not. You will come out of it, and you will recognize that God is all good. He wants nothing but the best for you, loves you, and will carry you to eternity if you only allow him and get over some of these fears that you've allowed this world to instill in you, to imprison your mind to a level where even if you get all the money in the world, the fame in the world, everything you want in the world, your mind is still in a prison. There is a way to liberate it. If your mind is in a prison, it doesn't matter what's going on in the outside world, how much money you have, what you got going for you. It means nothing because there's something within your being that is looking for perfection. And that perfection is inside. It's how you feel about yourself, about your place in this universe. And if you're detached from reality, if you don't understand and act as if you're part of a whole, then that evolution, that process of perfection can never happen. And that leaves a void within you. And that void will haunt you day and night, regardless of what you have or don't have. All that will mean absolutely nothing. These ideas, these old ideas about the creator, these ridiculous, primitive ideas that have turned the whole world off to the beauty and magnificence of the divinity that created this incredible universe that we're all in awe of. Just look at this universe, how magnificent it is, how just gigantic, incredible, beautiful. Look at life, how beautiful it is. And then look at our perception, this world's vision of who God is. Some angry guy that's just waiting to pounce. Get over these ridiculous ideas, I beg of you. Those of you who got turned off by all this nonsense and just decided that there is nothing, you're the ones who actually evolved. That process of realizing that these religions are incomplete, that they're something that has truth in it, but certainly comes from a very ancient time where a lot of errors, mistakes that those old people who lived in ancient times and that didn't have science, didn't know much at all, obviously they're not going to understand God and creation completely correctly. They might understand the nature of God. They might understand that he's perfect. But that doesn't mean that they really understand what that means, or what love really is. And so, yes, we're always evolving, and we're expected to evolve constantly. And you should evolve to a place where you understand that disasters, diseases, and accidents aren't God's doing. Not everything that happens was because God wanted it. If things happened the way God wanted it, our world would not look the way it does. Everything that happens isn't caused by sin, and everything that happens is not his will. We have free will. Some things happen because they're accidents of time. Some things happen because we have free will, and in a world where everybody has free will, it's obvious that certain people are going to use that free will in selfish ways. What's only good for themselves, because they're disconnected from reality, and therefore their actions are erroneous because they are hurting the body, whether it's just their own organ or every cell in this body is being harmed by them. Sometimes they do that in the name of God himself, and they think that what they're doing is heroic or patriotic or very religious, because that's what their olden religion taught them. But in fact, they are harming the whole, and therefore the whole has to take action, and that action cannot be something pleasant for that harmful cell. You're given plenty of time to change and understand and modify. God does not expect us to be perfect right off the bat. We are perfecting beings. We are incomplete. We are moving towards perfection. Physical evolution and science are a part of God's design, along with spiritual evolution. And therefore, human civilization is destined for continual progress. Physical evolution and science are both a part of God's design. All these chemical laws, physical laws, mathematical laws that are constantly spoken of, where did they come from? All these laws made themselves. Is this really how dumb the human mind can be? That it just made itself up, all these laws that are the same, uniform, and inescapable from the atom to the largest galaxy in the universe. They're all governed by these same laws. Who made these laws? What's old and true must be cherished, but that what's new and true must also be accepted and adopted. Just because these olden religions are mistaken in one way or another doesn't mean that they don't hold truth. Truth can be recognized. It was recognized even by primitive humanity, but that doesn't mean that they didn't make mistakes. And it doesn't mean that we're going to be perfect, because for sure, 1,000 years from now, there's going to be people that will be perfecting some of the mistakes that we make in this generation. That's just the nature of evolution. There's always going to be improvement. Perfection is something that's far off. In the meantime, we're going to be evolving very slowly. If you keep a living connection to God through unselfish service, your animal nature will eventually submit to your higher spiritual nature. How do we keep that living connection? We remember that we are part of a whole, and we change our attitude so that we are a positive force to every single person in every possible way for the remainder of our life. We will do what's best for that individual, that group, that nation, that race, that religion, till the end of our life, regardless of who they are, regardless of whether they're mistaken, regardless of whether they're strange to you, they annoy you, doesn't matter. Because it's not about that. It's about your attitude. Your attitude has to be unselfish, and not prejudiced towards one group or another. It's just light emanating from you. And you are a positive force for this world, no matter what. If you can do that, you will go far. If you can't do that, and if you insist on being a detriment to the whole in the name of God or religion or nationality or what have you, you'll be treated accordingly. It's just the way it is. That's just how a body can maintain itself. You're either doing God's will or you're not doing God's will. And that's really all they judge you by. Salvation is a matter of personal choosing, and your true choice is revealed in your deeds, not in words. What you say means nothing. Who you are and whether or not you're evolving will end up either connecting you to reality or disconnecting you. And the more disconnected you get, the more mistakes you're going to make and the more problems you're going to have in your life. Even if everything outside of you is perfect, you're going to be a living mess inside. The more connected you become, the more you're following what this body, what this God, this creator wants for you, so that he can maintain this body and evolve it and always make it better. The more connected you are, the better your life will become. Even if everything outside of you is broken and disheveled and confusing and problematic, you're going to have a peace that surpasses understanding. You're going to feel great. Not always. This world is tough, especially right now. Doesn't mean you're always going to be walking around happy, smiling. But you'll have a contentment that no amount of money will ever bring anybody. Heaven is for those who willingly choose to do God's perfect will and show love and mercy to all. It can't be won through beliefs, rituals, heredity, or what church you belong to, or anything like that. It's about bringing unity to a naturally diverse creation, not about forcing everybody to have the same beliefs, perspectives, and lifestyles. It's about unity, not uniformity. You're not expected to all be the same. And that's what most of these religions wind up being, because they don't allow people to think. You're just supposed to believe. You're actually discouraged to think. And therefore, you're going to make a lot of mistakes because you're not experiencing and you can't understand God and you can't know what in your particular scripture or religion is right and what isn't. You're always going to be dependent on somebody telling you because you have absolutely no personal experience. You can't recognize God. If you could recognize, if you were attached, if you were evolving, you would recognize God. He's not sitting idle. He'll let you know. What's supposed to happen is all these individuals, instead of all becoming the same and thinking the same and looking the same and having the same hair and the same clothes and the same beliefs and the same everything, looking the same, sounding the same, that's not what creation is about. If you open your eyes, it's easy to see that God wanted an unlimited expression of every kind of belief, personality. Everybody's different. And so when you're detached from reality and you try to make them all the same to get uniformity instead of unity, you're going to be making mistakes and it's never going to work. And most of these religions are obsessed with that. Selfish ambition cannot exist in a functional family. Selfishness is what determines whether or not you will receive any light. It is the most important thing. Because what is selfishness? Selfishness is detachment from reality. Because the reality is, if you want what's good for you, you have to do what's good for the body because you are a part of that body. This is not that complicated. It's pretty simple. If you're selfish, that means you're detached from reality. And a functional family, a heavenly state, a heavenly place, cannot have selfish people in it because they're detached from reality. And the minute they would come into a place where everybody is selfless, then that place is no longer heaven because the selfish person is there. Selfishness is what will determine whether you receive any spiritual insight or not. And again, remember that it's an attitude that you keep in life. You just become a positive force for everything and everybody, regardless. Try it. See what happens. Because this universe, once you understand these things, once you accept them, and once you instill them in your everyday life, will respond to you. That is the promise of this creator. You're not supposed to just hear it from a rabbi or a priest or some kind of clergy. It doesn't work like that. Truth can't be understood that way. You have to experience it. You have to create that connection with this being that we call God. And if you try to bypass that by just hearing it from offhand from another person, again, you're detached from reality because you're part of that whole. And it wants to have a relationship with you because you already are a relationship. It's not that you can start a relationship. You are already in this relationship. You are a part of a whole. You are already in the relationship. And so getting God in your life isn't like something new coming into your life. Understanding God and creating that connection just reveals to you what's been in front of your face the whole time. What's always been there. You just didn't understand it. You didn't recognize it. Selfishness is what will keep you from achieving that goal. It's what will keep you from evolving. It's what will destroy that inner desire to become better, to become perfect. And therefore, because you cannot get what you really want, which is an inner satisfaction, you will suffer and you won't be happy. Do you understand? You're not bringing anything new into your life. You're just becoming aware of what was always there and you just didn't understand it. Life is a school where graduation requires good works, and since we have the gift of free will, the potential for evil and failure must always exist. Again and again, we hear, why does God allow all these problems? If God is good, why do we have this world where all these crazy things are happening and everybody's confused and bitter and angry? If God gives us free will, which he has, obviously, otherwise it wouldn't look like this, then, let me put these on. If God gives us free will, if he gives a world free will, then perforce, he's created a situation where some people can choose to do the wrong thing, to become hurtful instead of helpful. You have to learn God through personal experience, not through middlemen. Allow the design pressures of life to reveal the disappointments of materialism and selfishness, to urge you towards divine perfection, and to improve the character of your personality, that being the meaning of life and the only bridge to eternity. I think we just went over this, and it's pretty self-explanatory. None of this stuff is complicated. We just allow it to become complicated. It's the easiest thing in the world. But you live in a very primitive world. Excuse me for a second. We live in a primitive world that teaches you falsehoods. And we're born into this world. It's almost, it really is kind of like Matrix. You're born in this world that has all these beliefs, and everybody just assumes that they're correct. And once you become enlightened, you realize that you live in a upside down world. And many of the things that you were taught are not true at all. If you can bypass those, if you can evolve past those things, then you will grow, you will evolve, and that inner desire within your being to become better will be satisfied. No matter what's going on around you, no matter what you have or don't have. Once you get that understanding that you are a son or daughter of a creator that created this entire universe, you're not going to have that void, that emptiness inside you that says you're nothing, that your life means nothing, that you haven't achieved anything. You don't even need to achieve anything. You're already a part of this magnificent universe. You are a part of this eternal, perfect whole. Whether you do anything or not, there are things that are available to you that you don't even know, one of which is being able to communicate with the Creator. And all you have to do is want it. Just communicate. Go into an empty room. Just sit down and say, hey, if God really exists, then show me something. And then change your attitude so that you're a force, a beneficial force for all of creation. And see if it works. That is the scientific process. Truth cannot be taught. And if you are a scientist at heart, well, your body is the tool. The experiment is to see if this universe hears you, responds to you, if you have a relationship or not. The tools are your body and your mind, and you test it, just like in science. Test it and see if it works. It's not about reading about it. It's not about somebody else telling you, yes, there is a God. No, there isn't a God. Ooh, who is he? Who is Jesus? No, it's about you understanding that because there's something within you that will teach you step by step. And it will not let you know that you're being taught step by step because you're becoming normal. Abnormality is where you are now. This disconnection, this total failure to recognize reality. That is what's keeping you upset. And it permeates your whole life, your relationship with other people, your relationship to God, your relationship to yourself. It's all regulated by whether your mind is able to be liberated and to think freely without the confines of old religions, old traditions, what your parents think. If those are the things that govern you, then truth is not that important for you. You've made truth, you put it on the back burner. It's secondary. What's really important to you is tradition. It's what people think of you. And truth is going to show you one way or another that truth does not play second fiddle. Truth has to be front and center in your life. You have to understand how important it is and the level that you're willing to heed that, to answer that call, how fearlessly you go, how much you desire to grow day by day. That's going to determine success or failure in this world and the next. So therefore, you have to love like a parent. Learn to love even your enemies, and remember that all humans are imperfect by design. If God wanted us all to be perfect, if we wanted this to be a perfect heavenly world where we just are born perfect, then it wouldn't look like this. But as human beings, we've been created to learn things from a very low level, almost the level of an animal. But that gives us a understanding that cannot be ever erased. We are learning here. We are in a school. So develop a sense of humor and stay humble. Remember to rest and play, be patient, be tolerant, find solitude, and commune with your Heavenly Father. Show ambitions for things that will never turn to dust. And if all you want from this life is the pitiful things of this world, then are you worthy of having the higher things? If you're willing to not ever attach to reality and live in this abnormal state that's called normal in this world, do you deserve the better things? Have you even asked for it? Have you strived for it? Then why should you get it? Fight against prejudice and ignorance. Stay vigilant and protect yourself against deliberate evil. Love, learning what love is, what it truly is not easy. It takes time, it takes a lot of experience. Love is multi-sided. Sometimes love can be bitter. It's hard to bear because it requires sacrifice, toil, selflessness. It's never going to be easy. But sometimes love means protecting yourself against people who will deliberately attack you. Love doesn't mean that you just have to lay there and let them walk all over you and then kill you. That's not love. If a world where people that are evolved allow themselves to be exterminated, how much love then is that for this world? Because you are a force that is stopping the world from evolving, because you're allowing evil to grow at the detriment of goodness. That's not love. That's just stupid. Protect yourself. Pray effectively. Don't pray for things. Pray for higher learning. Pray for your consciousness to be raised, expanded. Ask for it. You have a device within your being that can contact the creator of this entire universe. And you don't even know it. Use it. Test it. Are you afraid? Well, then test it. Put it to use. Put your body and your mind and test it and see if it works. That's all you need to do. Have faith that the entire universe is friendly to you despite appearances to the contrary. The universe wants nothing but the best for you and this world. And in the future, we'll have the best of everything in this world. But first, you have to change. First, you have to become attached to reality instead of listening to this world that's constantly trying to detach you from reality, to make you prejudiced in one way or another through your nation or your religion or your race, to stop you from remembering that you are part of a whole, and to hurt a other part of this body is to hurt yourself. Whether you do it in the name of religion or nationalism because you think you're patriotic, if you're doing things that are actually bad for the organ in the body that you're serving, because that organ doesn't understand that it's part of that body and therefore must suffer the consequences of going against the body, then what you did not help your country or your race or your religion or you or anybody around you. Do you understand? Understanding your relationship to this body as one cell in this body and acting for the benefit of the entire body is the foundation, the essence of true religion. And the value and correctness of your religion can be measured by whether or not that reality is recognized. It's as simple as that. Don't fear anything. If you understood the power of the Creator, it took me 40 years to understand this stuff. I cannot somehow pass it to you mind to mind. It's something you have to experience for yourself. If you understand the power, the beauty, the goodness, the far-sightedness, the eternal perfection. Sometimes I call God, the God that seemed too good to be true, because he really sounds too good to be true. How can it be true that the force that created this entire universe and all the life that's in it also be absolutely beautiful, completely perfect, and all knowing, all at the same time? It seems too good to be true. And yet I'm here to tell you that it's true, and that you can experience it yourself, that you must experience it for yourself. It's the only way. If you're a child of light and you look around and you see all these people that don't understand this stuff, we have a tendency to think that it's because people are stupid, and therefore we withdraw. It's not correct. The reason they don't understand isn't because it's complicated. The reason is that they instinctively know the trouble it's going to create in their life. Finding the truth, following the truth is not easy. It's going to have a detrimental effect on your materialistic life, because that materialistic life is no longer your main focus. You have better things to do. You have higher standards. You're more ambitious, really. You are more than what this pitiful little planet can give you. Good, because there is more. But you're not going to get it unless you want it. You're not going to get it unless you do what's necessary to get it. And what is necessary is for you to evolve. Regardless of anything else, if truth is second to anything else, you're not worthy of it. You must understand that there is nothing more important than the truth. Nothing. It's worth dying for. It's that precious. And it knows how precious it is. And it won't give itself cheaply. You have to earn it. You have to show that you really love it. You have to show that you're willing to do whatever it takes to get more and more. Always growing, evolving, becoming better and better every single day through all eternity. That is our goal. That is our future, our destiny, and don't ever let anybody tell you that you cannot achieve it. Because you can. Because you have the same potential as what gave birth to your personality, which is eternal, infinite, complete perfection. It's available to you just for the asking. You don't need to sacrifice anything except your selfishness. You don't need to do anything except follow the truth, regardless of where it leads you, without fear. When you're searching for God, you're really searching for everything. When you find God, you will have found everything. You must become attached again to reality. And once you do, that reality will reward you by the expansion of your consciousness, which allows you to see the relationship and to act in a way that brings you into harmony with everything, regardless of what people around you think, how they treat you, or what happens in your life. Not many can take that route, and that is why people are scared. It's not that they're stupid. They're scared, and they have a right to be, because it's difficult, because they're going to start turning right side up in an upside down world, which has consequences. Maybe they'll no longer be part of their church if they do that. Maybe their parents will disown them. Maybe their nation won't think they're patriotic anymore. Maybe their race will think that they're traitors. Maybe they'll lose their job. Maybe their reputation will be harmed. These are real concerns. It's real. It's on. It's not going to just fall in your lap. You have to work for it. You have to earn it. But this is the pearl of unlimited value. You have to be able to sell everything for this one pearl. And you have to show that you understand the value of the truth and that you will abide by it because you know that's what's best for you, for who's around you, your country, your race, your religion, and the entire universe. You'll be coming right side up again. So don't blame people if they don't want to do this. Don't think they're not smart enough. It doesn't take a big brain to understand this stuff. It's just you live in this crazy upside down world where truth is falsehood and falsehood is truth. Out of this darkness, you must come out a light. It's available to you. This is what's expected of you. And this is your destiny if you so choose it. Till next time.